Hogstye.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Hogsty. It is your host Alex, it is Steve, it is Dave. Merry Christmas, guys, because we're recording this the day before Christmas Eve, so hopefully people are listening to this rather than, their family.
Yeah,
You know.
don't do Christmas. Listen to this show before you do Christmas, please.
Right.
We
Before
didn't
you
want
open
to
up any
record on
gifts.
we didn't want to record on on Christmas Eve because that's important to us, but for you, we'd rather you abandon your families and listen to this.
Right. It's
Yes.
it's actually a high priority that, don't carve that roast. Don't eat those potatoes with that gravy and the little onions. But
Well, they can
just
do
listen to
that as long as the show is on while they're
Oh,
doing
right,
it.
right. You put your headphones on and eat while you're listening
Yeah.
to the show. It's actually a good.
Yeah.
That's a good solution.
I want to go just off topic here just for a moment
We
because
can
I
go
just
off topic as much as people like
yeah,
on this
true.
one.
Because I just want to say I watched finally the new Spinal Tap movie this
Oh,
past
you did?
weekend.
Yeah.
What a enormous disappointment.
I mean, did
I'm
you
a
expect it to be anything other than a disappointment?
yes, it's Spinal Tap. I really did. And I really thought, is it gonna? And I wasn't expecting it to live up to the greatness of the original movie necessarily, but
Right.
I expected it to be at least funny. I don't think I laughed a single time. The whole plot was stupid. Everything was dumb. That was one of the worst,
It
that
it,
was
it
one of the
was
worst non-Last Jedi movies I've ever seen.
it was a disappointment. I was not expecting much going into it though. Like
It was
I
less than what I was expecting.
And I didn't watch it at all.
Don't
yeah,
waste your time. I was free to me. I watched on HBO,
yeah.
Right.
but it barely had a plot. It
No.
wasn't funny at all. It's just
No,
what a disappointment.
it I mean, it's the plot was, hey, we're gonna get Spinal Tap back together and
Yeah,
they're gonna
the
do a
end.
show
That
and
was
it's a,
that was
and it went sideways.
that
And
was the whole plot. Yeah.
yeah.
And
It, it
and you, and your remark on the Star Wars side, I mean, what was wrong with the last three trilogies? They only wasted a perfectly great scenario with
what I
Carrie
was trying
Fisher
to
while she was still alive.
what I was
But
trying to say is the Last Jedi is the king of bad movies.
right.
So yeah, I was trying to say it was one of the worst
to,
non-Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is the king of that. So this
well,
is
let's
somewhere
be
under that.
clear.
That's
The
what I'm
Last
saying.
Jedi trilogy is the
No,
Yes.
I
king.
mean that movie. Yes, generally, but I mean that movie with specificity is the worst of the three. That's what I'm saying.
Real, I would say the Rise of Skywalker, the number 9 was the worst of the three. That's just me.
Well, I mean, you can
Oh
be
no,
wrong.
that
It's
second
fine.
one's the worst.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Leia just sitting there and out in space, and she flies back into. I'm just, come on, man.
That
Yeah,
now no, that was terrible too. But
Yes.
the fact that the Emperor somehow came back was in the title credits. Come on, the
wait,
Emperor's Return somehow.
even though he died before, and
uh,
them hiding imperial starships under ice
Under
on a planet
clouds,
for
yeah,
decades. Yeah,
right,
it's
right.
so
right.
Hundreds of them,
ridiculous.
hundreds of ships just sitting there in an atmosphere, not
In
doing
perfectly
anything.
good shape with all
Right.
the food and nutrients
Also,
necessary for
in
the crew.
perfect formation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
so,
They are
so,
material, so maybe that's the most realistic thing. The
so
formation.
Spinal Tap wasn't at that level of horrible,
No,
but it was a terrible movie, and somewhere Rob Reiner needs to be ashamed of himself,
well,
wherever he is.
he's gone
Well,
now.
Rest in
he's
peace to
currently
Rob
passed
Reiner.
away.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying that probably haunts him. That's all I mean.
Yeah. I mean, look, it is a terrible movie to go out on. I won't
That's
pretend
what
it's
I'm
not.
saying. I'm not trying
Yeah.
to make fun of the fact he got burned. It's a horrible story. I'm just saying
Right.
Right.
it shouldn't have ended like that
No.
for him. That's what I mean.
No. I honestly, I'm trying to think of a single. The only funny part to me, or memorable part, is when Paul McCartney shows up, and he's like trying to give them like honest criticism, and they have no ability to take Paul McCartney's advice whatsoever. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. And nobody explained why Paul McCartney even showed up. By the way, he just appeared out of nowhere.
Because he's Paul McCartney. That's what he does.
I guess.
He's a Beatle. He just wanders around New Orleans, apparently.
So what I'm saying,
Hi.
people,
Yeah.
is don't waste your time watching Spinal Tap 2, even if you get it for free on HBO. Still don't waste your time on it.
Watch Spinal Tap 1. Just
Yes.
watch that again. It's good. It's still funny.
I think I've said on this show before that maybe I haven't. I was a stage tech for a time, and I worked one of Spinal Tap's very first concerts in the United
When they
States.
did the real tour thing, yeah.
When they did the real tour, yeah.
Yeah.
And they came complete with a Stonehenge and a naked farting butt for the song Big Bottom, and it was everything out of the movie. And Harry Shearer was a complete jerk to cast and crew.
That's sad to hear, though. About Harry
He
Shearer.
was so awful. He was screaming at people. It was really terrible.
That's a real shame, because Harry Shearer you think of as a very funny person. You'd hope he
Not at
would
all.
be-
It was to the point where it's like he's yelling at the crew, going, how can I be expected to work under these conditions and blah 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 for no reason. This is like during rehearsal.
What about Michael McKean? Was he at least
He was all right. He was cool,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, because it's who's it? Michael McKean, Harry Shearer, and is it
Christopher
Guest?
Guest. Yeah, Christopher
Yeah.
Guest. He was all right. Yeah.
Yeah, Christopher Guest, who went on to basically make those movies for the rest of his life in different formats.
He's the guitarist, right? He can actually play.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I don't mean that, but he does those mockumentary things, like
Yeah,
all his
yeah,
movies. Yeah, he mastered that later, which was
Right.
kind of cool. But yeah, it
Bet
was
you
a
guys
shame.
didn't know I worked a Spinal Tap concert, did you?
I did know that because
No, we did
I
not.
told you
I
that
did
before,
not.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know if I have ever talked about it on the air. Actually, I told Alex, but
Yeah, you must have said it at some point in the last 10 years on the air.
maybe, who knows?
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it was a bummer. It was a bummer of a movie. The cheese shop thing was kind of funny, but that was it.
Yawn.
People come in, trade guitars for cheese. Come on.
You know what else was kind of a bummer?
The second half of that game, yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
So
Wow,
here would be
yeah.
if you didn't watch this game, and I'm sure everyone's watched this game by now.
If you're listening to us, you've no doubt watched the game.
Yes. Just were to watch that first half, turn it off, and say it's over. It would be a great game. That was a fun first half. It was a rock fight. It was low scoring, defensive. That was a good half of football that they played, and then the wheels fell off because they're Washington and they don't have the talent to hang with the Eagles. But that first half was at least enjoyable. But Steve, why don't you give us some numbers? Because we got to talk about that. We got to talk about more injuries. And
because I'm genetically required to give the numbers. All right. So Washington obviously lost this game 29-18. Marcus Mariota played a little over 3 quarters, went 7 for 14, 95 yards passing, quarterback rating of 72. Josh Johnson replaced him, quote unquote replaced. Went 5 for 9, 43 yards, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 28.7. Leading rusher was Chris Rodriguez, 15 for 63, 4.2 yards a carry, and a touchdown with a long of 20. Corey Cross-Gammert was 8 for 25, average of 3.1 yards per carry, long of 13. Jeremy McNichols had a great day, I'd say. He went 1 for 3 for 3 yards. Receiving wise, Terry McLaurin was the leading receiver, 3 for 53. Deebo Samuel, 3 for 35. Traylon Burks, 2 for 30. Jeremy McNichols, 1 for 9. Goes down from there. Tackles, Bobby Wagner led the way again, 10 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. Jonathan Jones and Frankie Louvu both were next, tied for 8. Jacob Martin had the other sack. And that's Washington. And then for the Eagles side, Jalen Hurts went 22 for 30, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, quarterback rating 111.1. Saquon Barkley, 21 for 132 with the long of 48. A.J. Brown's leading receiver, 9 for 95. Devonta Smith, 6 for 42. Dallas Goedert, 3 for 32. And that is stats. Now, Washington lost, so we all know what we have to do, right? We know.
Yes,
our favorite thing. We're playing the Trustway game today. We definitely are playing.
It is a Trustway game type game.
Yes. All right. So I'm not going to tell you how many punts Tress did because I got criticized that last time, and you guys are right. So between Mariota and Johnson both, they had 130 yards passing, and then rushing total, including one run by Marcus Mariota when he lost 1 yard. They had 90 yards rushing. So the question is, and so that would be 220 total offensive yards. The question is, did Tressway outpunt the entire Washington offense? We're going to go to Dave Earl first.
I would probably say by slimmest of margins, yes, he did.
Okay, so Dave thinks that Tress did outpunt the entire Washington offense. Dave, Alex, what say you?
I haven't looked it up yet. I
Okay.
don't cheat. I play honest.
Don't cheat. This is important. This is an important game.
Right. It's an important game. And for those
my
playing at
favorite
home,
game.
I hope you didn't cheat either. I'm gonna say yes too. 220 is such a low number, and like that's 4.2 punts technically average wise. So like it might be 5 punts. Let's round up and say that's 5 punts worth of yardage.
Okay, so this result, in all the years we've been playing the Tressway game, this is a result we've never had before. That's why I really wanted to do it. Tressway had 5 punts for 220 yards.
What?
Yes,
Wow.
so Tressway tied the entire
The
Washington
offense,
offense. We have never had that in all the years we've been doing the Tressway game.
Congratulations to Tressway.
It's a
That's what I'm-
monumental
also-
occasion, people.
Right.
And also bonus points for Alex. I think he's the only one that would sit there and say and guess it correctly how many punts that
You
would have
did guess
equated to.
the number of punts right, yeah.
Yeah. That's 5. That is 5 punts. That's perfect.
I was looking
Yeah.
for this Saturday after this game. I thought, man, we can't forget to do the Trustway game today.
No, that's fantastic.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
so
it's-
do we win or lose? That's the question.
It's a push. It's a push. You didn't
So we
win
get
or
our
you
money
didn't
back.
lose.
Okay, we get our money
Yeah,
back.
I'll
Good.
give you a push for it. Sure. Technically, you lost. You could have said tied, but I'd give you a push. That's fair.
Well,
Yeah, but
so-
but Alex had his chip on the bonus square, so he gets that back.
No.
Absolutely, that's exactly how Texas Hold'em works in the
This isn't
casino.
Texas Hold'em. This
You
is the
play
game
on
I
the
made
bonus,
up.
and he nails
No.
it. Bam! He gets
I thought we were
that plus a half.
I thought we were
I'm the
playing
king
this
of
on
this.
a
See,
ro-
Kobe
on a roulette
agrees.
table, like.
Kobe agrees with me.
Oh well,
Uh,
congrats to you, Steve, because this is one of your favorite games. Like I don't think you'd ever thought you'd.
We're
see
never
the
going to
day.
see this again. Never again will Tressway tie the entire Washington
It's
offense.
highly unlikely. Statistically
Highly
speaking.
unlikely, yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if it ever happens again, Steve, you and I have to shave our head.
There you go. Yes, that's perfect. Yes, we will commit to that right now.
Yeah. Steve actually has a little something to lose, but no.
If I let that grow in, me and Steve are identical on all that. On the side.
I know that. I'm just saying, like you've committed to the full Bruce Willis look.
True.
Steve is going more Jean-Luc Picard. Is all I'm saying.
I don't know if that's really a compliment.
Hey, he was voted sexiest man in England one year, so take
That's
that.
not a high bar.
No, but
All right. So point
Yes.
is that's stats. So about this game,
first
to start?
reactions. Do you want to talk offense first? I assume.
offense.
Yeah. I thought they had like I said at the outset, they had a good game plan in the first half. The only way you're sticking with the Eagles, play the run game, short passing game. You take advantage of some mistakes that the Eagles made, like that fumble at the outset. That was huge.
Could have been.
Yeah, on the return. Yeah.
Could have been bigger. Obviously, they ended up with a field goal, not a touchdown. But you took the points. You played it smart, and you went into the first half with a lead. You can't ask for more than that.
Okay. So as to your point, at halftime, there had been 10 pass attempts and 15 rushing attempts,
Mhm.
and then Mariota had a scramble.
Right. That
So
didn't work.
that didn't work. But that is about considering how bad they've been in passing. And I just like to point out, I mean, this is sort of a Dallas preview thing, but I'm going to say it anyway. So in terms of how bad Washington is in just passing by quarterback rating, they're ranked 27th in the NFL. If you want to go by completion percentage, they're ranked 27th in the NFL. And so this is not something. 15 rushes to 10 passes is what they should be doing. And
Right.
it was working for a time.
Exactly. Also, when you know your season's over, get the games over as fast as possible. So I don't mind it for that reason either. But yeah, like look, I thought they had a good game plan there. Cliff Kingsbury always does things that kind of just confound me a little bit in the red zone, but this time they tried running it, it didn't work, so they kicked a field goal. I'm fine with that. Like that first red zone series is kind of what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the second half, I thought the coaching staff had strangely conservative play calling. There were a couple times when, why aren't you guys going for it on fourth down? What in the world do you have to lose here? You're 4-10, nothing's
Right.
happening. It's a division rival. You're gonna, short punt it essentially. I didn't really understand what they're doing with that, and I don't know what Dan Quinn was holding back on. Granted, again, like the passing game stinks. I think Johnson was in at least for one of those. I mean, I get it. But I didn't
He was in
understand that.
for what, most of the fourth quarter, was
Well,
it?
he came in at the early in the third quarter is
Yeah,
when Mariota went out, and so he
Yeah.
played, 1 3/4 quarters.
right.
So I didn't really understand the play calling to a certain extent. I applaud the attempt at rushing, and I will say that if you get to the end of the game, if you go back to that, here, give me 1 second. I already closed the window. I mean, the ratio had changed just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the game, here we go. Whoops. So
Well,
23
Johnson,
passes between Mariota and Johnson, 23, and then
Right.
they were at
so that's 13 in the
24
second half. Yeah.
24 rushes. And considering they were behind, I mean, I kind of understand
Right.
it. So at some point you got to stop rushing.
Right.
I think that first half really kind of showed what this offense could have been if not for the injuries. Perfect example is that one quick almost like a wide receiver screen to Debo Samuels where the actual right tackle and guard
Mm-hmm.
with I believe it was the tight end with them as well. They basically came up and formed a wall right behind, right in front of Debo Samuels, and he had that link. I think it was, I forget how many yards he got, but I think it was like close to 20 yards almost on that play alone. I mean, and these are the kind of plays that what they brought Debo Samuels in for. While you saw that real nice that 50-50 ball throw down to McLaurin down the sidelines where he opens up the defense, and there's so much that we could have seen in an offense where we're starting to see a little bit of the components now becoming more healthy and minus the quarterback, of course.
Well,
I think
oh, I just want to, sorry, that Mariota to McLaurin play down the sideline was one of the best plays by Marcus Mariota all season.
right,
And Terry McLaurin too, for that matter.
yeah,
I think that play was the highlight of the game, if you ask me.
But it was
Absolutely.
vintage McLaurin there.
It was, yeah.
and in actuality, if Marcus Mariota had a stronger arm, I mean, he probably gets that in stride and he's gone for 6 anyway. On
Yeah,
top of
if he
that.
could have let him better, it might have
Yeah.
been a touchdown. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yes,
So
but
I think in that first half we saw a little bit of what Kingsbury really wanted to do the majority of the season, and it really showed that I think Cliff Kingsbury, for some of his offensive flaws he's had this year in the schemes, I think it was really dictated by how healthy the offense was not all year. So especially this year. This year was kind of the NFC East was kind of open this year because the Eagles weren't exactly playing dominant ball all year long. The NFC itself kind of had the opportunity to sneak through there this year. This was a year this team was fully healthy. And when we get to the defensive side, I think, a healthy defense. Well, we'll talk about that when we get there. But offensively wise, though, I think the offensive line has been improving with Connolly all year. I think Chris Paul is a staple in that left guard spot. And I think the offensive line held up very, very well against the stout, minus Carter, I get it. But they did well against the stout defensive front for the Eagles. I
Especially
think,
considering Laramie Tunsil isn't out there.
right.
yeah.
So I think the core of what we have in the trenches offensively, I think is kind of set going forward. Now the question is, what do you do with Brandon Coleman after this year? I mean, he's young, he's talented. He may not be an elite player. So what's their plans for him going forward? So I think there were some things answered going forward in this game. I think we see what his offense can be full health. I'd be curious if Cliff Kingsbury does come back or not. So I think there were some good things to take out of the offense, especially that first half.
Well, to answer
It-
your question about Coleman, I mean, it's not like they're pressed where they have to do anything with him. He's still on a rookie
No, right.
contract.
Well, that
Yeah.
was
You
what I
know?
was going to say. He's got
Yeah.
2 more seasons after this,
Well,
so
yeah.
the answer is nothing. You know, they're not
Well,
going to.
no, well, no, I'm
You
just
keep
talking
hoping to
mainly.
develop him. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
he could be
I
a
mean,
starter
but
someday again.
but is he kind of a piece to where you think, well, maybe he becomes a trade package going if someone sees a starting guard in him? If not, you still got him on a rookie deal moving forward. Either way, so he becomes an intriguing piece in the offseason for those who are starved for offensive linemen.
I mean, I think. I mean, if I were the team, I would want to hope that he eventually becomes either the starting left or right guard. That would be
Right.
my
Right.
hope. I mean, he's a high draft pick. You know, who else you got out there?
He
Andrew
plays
Wiley. I mean,
decently well. Even when they were like
yeah.
benching him for performance, he wasn't bad. Like we've seen bad O line play, especially guys
Yeah.
like Wiley who struggled at times.
Well,
Coleman,
I like the.
Coleman had issues.
I
He was anywhere like that bottom.
yeah.
I'd
I mean,
actually
and they
like to see
weren't.
him develop even more on the tackle side to become more of that swing tackle for us going forward, especially if Chris Ball keeps developing the way he is, because he could ultimately end up being the guy if he develop enough to be our starting left tackle after Tunzel going forward. That's the possibility.
Well, and I
We'll
mean, I
see.
think they're going to have to try to re-sign Laramie Tunzel. You know, recognizing he's 31, but I think Laramie Tunzel is going to have another
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 years left in him. You know, probably at least.
What's
Right.
his contract like now?
His contract now expires in 2026, and he's got a cap hit of almost 25 million next year. So it goes dramatically up, but because he's only got a almost little under $7 million cap hit right now, um, but they can afford it. They don't have, you know, the whole team together only has about 181 million under contract next year. So you want to do some basic off the top of my head math, which I have done here. So let's just do that, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, today, the basic salary cap is 279 million. Typically it goes up to somewhere between 10 and 20 million a year, sometimes more, but let's be conservative. And so let's call it 300 million. And so that's 120 million right there. And then there's always a rollover cap, call that 20 million. That's like basically the leftover space from this year, call it 20. And then subtract um the draft picks,
Rookies.
you know, the rookie salary pool. They're going to have 120, 130 million, you know, and that's with Tunzel at 24 million, and that's with Deron Payne signed, you know, still to an enormous contract. So they could really they have the cap space to do whatever they want.
Right. And keep in mind, paying that is a lot for left tackle, but that just means you're not way off what the top left tackles are getting paid.
It's far worse. What they've got 28 million in Deron Payne next year. That's far worse to me.
Right.
Right.
That's a much bigger problem.
Yes.
About that.
Right. There's your
Um,
salary cap update, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, getting back to this game, that second half, once Johnson went in, I just kind of tuned it out. I was like, all right,
Oh,
we
yeah.
just quit. You know,
Well,
or-
one, they didn't have another option. It had to be Johnson or
no, I know.
nobody. I that interception, throwing off his back foot, across the field, crosses, you know, when
Mhm.
the crosses body, he's right-handed, but very poor read. You know, the corner was
Right.
there, ready to jump the route. He should have seen it. The pass was underthrown, little velocity. One of the worst interceptions you're ever going to see in an NFL game.
Yeah.
And I've defended Johnson at times, but there's no excuse for that.
Well,
You know, out of a
I mean,
veteran.
look, there's also a reason why he's got the record for being on the most teams in the history of sports.
No,
Very true.
granted,
Yeah.
granted,
Yeah.
I know, but still, you know, that I don't know if that interception turned the game necessarily, because the Giants, or the Eagles rather, when that happened, um, I mean, the scores, it was 14-10. I mean, the Eagles had already scored, but they got a touchdown off of that, and 21-10. All of a sudden, it was a two-score game. So I think that it was a momentum shift. It wasn't the end of the game, but it was a momentum shift as a result of
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And I guess since we're talking defense, Washington hung with this team for 2 quarters, and then it just went totally haywire, in the second half. And so if you look at, I did catch the halftime stats. At halftime, Jalen Hurts had 107 net passing yards, and they had 76-yard rushing, 5.8 yards per carry. Saquon Barkley only had 40 yards rushing at the 9 for 40. He didn't really get going at all until the second half, and he really only had one big play. If you really think about it. But the jump in rushing stats is just enormous from the second half. 207 rushing yards at the end of the game. I mean, they really did a very, very poor job in the second half. I mean, their defensive line has just not been fixed when it comes to the running game. They
No.
tried, it just isn't.
It failed.
I don't know what to tell. Yes, they failed. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's I get it hasn't been great this year. I understand that, but I mean, we have to attribute the fact that you lost your top two edge rushers this year. You have an aging linebacker in Bobby Wagner who's still effective against the run, racking up the tackles, but against any shifty running back, I mean, he's kind of out there like with lead feet. I mean, there's so many more components. I don't want to put all this blame on Kinlaw. I think Kinlaw has had his ups and downs all year long. I mean, they were relying, I think, so heavily on Payne on being that real good counterpart to him, but he's been. I mean, he's disappeared. He disappeared more than he's shown up most of this year. So he's been very disappointing this year. Um, and they have no. I mean, we talk about it every show when people want Bobby Wagner to sit for who. They have no depth at linebacker. Jordan McGee. They waited so long to really give him the ample playing time. I think he's got a solid future with the team. They have no true. When Will Harris went down, they had no safety to come up into the box. They had nothing to really kind of go forward with the run game this year, and we saw that. I mean, the first 5 weeks of the season they were good, they were solid, but beyond that, I mean, they just dropped, and they dropped in a real bad way, real fast. And to add to that, though, what you see what Dan Quinn has done the last couple of weeks, defense, I'm not saying has been great at all, but what he's gotten out of the talent that he has right now, I think that it really shows that Witt is a great guy, good coach, I'm sure, but Witt really did do a very bad job this year because Quinn has gotten more out of less than what Witt has gotten over the first 5 weeks of the season overall as a defense, especially through the secondary. I think Dan Quinn should be calling this defense going forward, or bringing someone like Al Harrison, who's a defensive backs coach for the Bears right now, who was with them in Dallas. I think he'd be a perfect complement for him here going next year. But I think right now Witt's got to be the guy that's out going next year, and they got to get a linebacker.
Bring somebody in.
Yeah.
They have to bring somebody in for sure.
So
I listened to John Kimes podcast, on the way home today, and he talked about Bobby Wagner a little bit. And what I wrote in the takeaways this week is, some of you guys out there irrationally hate the guy. He played pretty well. I mean, within the context of what he does, 10 tackles, a lot of them for a loss. Yeah. Do you want him in pass coverage? Probably not. But he has still made a huge difference in the defense for the most part. And what Keim talked about, which I hadn't heard before, was Keim himself talked to Jordan McGee apparently in one of his prior episodes, and McGee talked about how much he had learned from watching Bobby Wagner be the defensive signal caller. Because all you guys out there, yeah, I mean, all you guys out there who whine and whine and whine about bench Bobby Wagner for Kane Medrano, and which is one, he's not a middle linebacker, but you don't just let a rookie or a practice squad, barely off the practice squad guy like Medrano, barely on the roster, walk in and be the defensive signal caller. That is
Right.
crazy. Bobby Wagner has to be the guy. And so should they keep him next year? Probably not. But he's the best option they have now, and he has had his moments this year where he's been bad, and he's had his moments where he's been very valuable. And it
Right.
appears as though the team really respects him.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
no, I don't have an agenda, this. I'm just saying this is how I feel.
Sure, you don't have an agenda, Steve.
But you don't have, you guys don't read I'm the one that has to monitor the comment section, and they all think I'm either like, Bobby Wagner's best friend or, something. They all think I'm
Right.
defending him. I'm not. I'm just, you guys who think that Kane Medrano is going to walk in and start are just, you don't know what you're talking about.
Like you said, he is not a middle linebacker. If
No.
anyone's eventually going to be that,
It'd
is
be McGee.
Yeah.
Right.
But you're not going to let McGee walk in and do that either. I mean, he needed to have a year where he learned how to do it.
Right. And he was
Right.
hurt most of his rookie season.
Yeah,
so it makes
exactly.
sense. Yeah.
And the other thing about Quinn, to your point, Dave, what Dan Quinn has done is he's given up this press man thing for the most part.
Yeah.
It's mostly zone. Does it always work? No, because they have deficiencies in their personnel. But I also, I read, I give credit to Mark Bullock for pointing this out. The Eagles did something pretty creative, knowing Washington had a zone or was playing a lot of zone. They kicked their tight ends to the outside and had the receivers on the inside, on with three wideouts. And the effect of that was to have Bobby Wagner on the Eagles, on one of the Eagles receivers.
Right.
Either AJ Brown or Devonta Smith. And and that just is sure to go wrong. And so that was the Eagles responding, and I don't think Quinn really had an answer for it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is his fault. But I think generally when your secondary talent isn't great, you have to play zone. It's just the
Well,
Eagles.
of course, he
figured out
had
how
an
to beat
answer.
it.
Medrano, right? Just ask the comment
Well, yeah,
section.
there you go. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, yeah. But that was the Eagles' response, and I'm glad Bullock pointed that out. Bullock has a Substack, by the way. I don't know what it's called, but you can look it up. But Bullock's obviously really smart about that, and that was a good point out I wanted to mention here. So credit to Bullock.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I don't know if there's much else to say about this defense at this point.
It sucks. That's what we say.
It sucks. They're going to be what they are. All
Yes.
right. Let's do the fun part of the show, which
Oh,
is
yes,
of course
absolutely.
game balls.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm gonna start here because
Okay.
you just mentioned a guy who I do want to give a game ball to, and you mentioned him a lot, and that is Kane Medrano, because he did get that fumble recovery on the kickoff. So therefore, Kane Medrano, that's your first big real play as a member of this team. So congratulations, and you get the defensive / special teams / offense, because special teams is everything. Game ball. I guess that's a defensive game ball. We'll call it.
Okay.
And then on offense, there's not a lot to go with. Let's go with Steve's buddy, Chris Rodriguez.
Okay.
Because he kind of just carried the offense, even though his numbers weren't spectacular overall. He did more than anybody else.
For me, I mean, it's when I give the balls to the other team, it's mainly because somebody just trounced
It's a
Oliver
shame
Washington,
thing,
and
yes.
yeah, it's a shame thing. And other than Saquon Barkley, who didn't have a great game up for a couple plays himself.
He had one really good run, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it's not quite as fun. But I do think Terry McLaurin made the catch of the game.
Fair.
In one of his better catches of the year. And so I want to give the offensive game ball to Terry McLaurin. It'll be a deflated game ball, but he gets one. And just to troll the people in our comment section, I'm going to give Bobby Wagner the game ball for getting 10 tackles. So there you go, comment section people. You know who you are.
For me offensively, I mean, that's really nobody else but Terry McLaurin. I think, yeah, it was a great catch he had in that game. I mean, I'll go with him on that one. And you know what, Steve? I kind of like the direction you're going just because of the comment section. So I will give the game ball and the MVP of the game to Bobby Wagner.
And the MVP of the game. Oh, good.
And the MVP of the game. So he's the heart and soul of this defense, this whole team. And Medrano, wait till next year.
There you go. So Dave and I agree.
All right.
Yes.
All right, you guys could both be wrong and not realize the greatness that is Cade Medrano recovering a single fumble. That's on you.
Me thinks you're trolling him too, Alex.
Well, no, actually, Alex probably just stroked an ego of at least one person to comment. See, Steve? Alex knows.
And the person you're thinking of probably doesn't recognize the fact that Alex is being sarcastic. So
Probably.
I mean,
no, I get
being
your
a
point. He
little
made a
sincere.
good play in all
Yes.
sincerity. Yeah.
Yes, that was the one highlight of the game. That glimmer of hope they had at the opening play.
That died
And then
a rapid death.
it died at normal speeded death. It didn't die until the second half with Marcus Mariota getting hurt. And I guess that's what we really need to talk about now, because this is why I don't love it when they make proclamations like we're shutting down Jane Daniels for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Now what?
Yeah, because now Marcus Mariota has a concussion. Marcus Mariota probably won't play the Dallas game. And what you like, I guess you could backpedal and say, look, Jaden's healthy enough, we're going to play Jaden. But they've kind of backed themselves into this weird corner.
I just gotta, before you keep talking. So
Mhm.
Washington has Mariota listed on the injury report as a right hand and a quad, not concussion.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because
I
was
think he was
concussion,
I think he was first evaluated for it on the sidelines. But I don't think he actually. I think he cleared that in that game itself. It was the hand that kept him
Yeah.
out. I think.
I don't want
Oh,
people to
okay.
think that he was in concussion protocol because he's not.
All right, so it's his right hand and quad.
Quad,
Now,
yes.
now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you need your right hand to throw a ball, I believe.
Correct. And he did not practice Monday or
Yes,
Tuesday.
we know that he did not. He's not practiced yet. So
Yeah.
So now they're stuck looking at a third string quarterback, Josh Johnson. Do they resign Driscoll?
They re-signed Jeff Driscoll. So let me just, since you mentioned it, they made a bunch of roster moves.
Right.
So they put Eddie Goldman, the defensive tackle, and Jalen Lane on injured reserve. They signed somebody named Shy Tuttle, I've never heard of. They claimed Jamal Agnew off of waivers on Monday and then waived him today, Tuesday, so he's off. And then they put Sam Cosmi on the IR list and then signed Jeff Driscoll. So for those of you counting at home, they now have one extra roster space, which they need to fill because Agnew got cut because he failed a physical.
Right. And then nothing like hiring and firing a guy in the same day.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously had some physical issue they didn't know
Right.
about.
Right. Yes, that's true. And then so Shy Tuttle,
it's two IR went Goldman, Lane, and Cosmi. To
Right.
the roster went Driscoll and Tuttle, so they have
Right.
one spot left. Driscoll being the guy who was on the roster last year and in training camp.
Right. And former 49ers quarterback. He started a few games in his
Right.
career too.
Yeah.
But also similar journeyman caliber to Johnson, just maybe 40 years younger.
But he does know the offense.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least somewhat.
Somewhat, yes.
Now,
So-
we still have Sam Hartman on this roster.
Yes, we
Sam
still
Hartman is on
have
the
sexy
backup.
Sam Hartman. Yes.
There you go.
But I would
There's
just
our
like
answer.
to point out something that Sam Hartman sucks. Okay. He's never played well in a preseason game that I can remember.
No.
Do the women love him? Yes, he's got the look. But he's never actually shown anything in the preseason, which is why he's never made a roster, and which is why they had to sign the likes of 100-year-old Josh Johnson, who's been with 82 teams, because
Right.
Sam Hartman has not proved that he could even be a third string quarterback.
J-
They think he's worth keeping on the practice squad to keep developing in hopes, but here we are, and so they're not going to give the ball to Sam Hartman.
And I think I understand that reasoning. I think it's a mistake because it's a lost season anyway. May as well.
I would start Daniels, frankly.
I mean, well, yes.
They're not going to, but I would.
That would be a serious conversation I'd be having with him right now. Look, man, we know we said this, and it's not about you. Jaden Daniels. It's about just the state of things. We need to play you.
And you know what,
That's
though,
exactly
too,
right.
when the offensive line on the most part, full health, minus Cosme mostly. Minus
Cosme's
Cosme.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, the receiving core is pretty much intact, minus Luke McCaffrey.
And Noah Brown.
Obviously Zach Ertz, Noah Brown, whatever. I mean, he's been in and out so often that's kind of irrelevant to me. I mean, Traylon Burks fills in for that anyway. So it's like, I mean, last 2 games of the year, I mean, see what Cliff Kingsbury can do with almost a full complement with Jaden Daniels to see how this offense looks.
I totally agree. I couldn't agree with you
Yeah.
more. And furthermore, he needs to practice, he needs the reps, and he needs to improve. It would be great to see him have a game at the end of the year where he kind of gets his old mojo back to end the
Yeah.
season. Instead, we're
Yeah,
going to
right.
see Josh Johnson backed up by Jeff Driscoll.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Fun fact about Josh Johnson, he played football so long ago, the forward pass was not an idea yet.
You've been holding that line forever, Alex.
For like 3 seconds, 4 seconds, it just came to my head.
Now, has Daniels practiced at all this week, or since
I mean,
Yes.
technically he's been practicing.
Yeah,
He's healthy.
Daniels has been limited practice for the past 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right. They're not playing him because they're doing the NBA. We're just shutting him down for the season nonsense.
Which is really dumb.
Yeah. It's dumb in the NBA. It's dumb here. Honestly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at least there's kind of a history of it in the NBA, for Christ's sake.
Right.
This is sort of surrender in the NFL, and I don't agree with it at all.
No. And look, I don't agree with that. I understand everything you're saying about Hartman not being a good player. I'd still rather play a young, inexperienced guy to get him experience. Like my order personally will be Jaden Daniels, Hartman, Driscoll, Johnson. I'm going reverse age.
You can't just surrender like that, though. I mean, you have an obligation in the NFL to put your best people out there. I mean, injuries happen. I don't think you can. This is not baseball where there's 182 games. You can give so many starts.
Sure.
It's not basketball where there's a history of tanking at the end of the year. The NFL, I think, has an obligation to the fans and to the league to play the best players every week, and that is not Sam Hartman, in my view.
Especially on Christmas Day, primetime
Yes,
game.
when it's a nationally televised game, Dallas week. You can't just go out there and throw Sam Hartman out there.
But I don't want to see any of them other than Daniels.
Well, I get it, but that's not the option. Daniels is not going to start, and we all disagree with it. But in absence of that, you have to put the best of the three, and like it or not, that's Josh Johnson.
I'm just not convinced because what he did last week is not very good.
No, but Sam Hartman has never done anything, and there's a reason why he's not the third string quarterback.
Yeah, it's just an awful situation.
It is, but this is what happens when
rather
the
see
top two get hurt.
Driscoll's
the problem with Jeff Driscoll is that he has been here for a day, and while he was here, he's not, especially on a short week. There's one full practice, Tuesday. That's just not going to happen. They've got to go with the guy who's been there, which is Johnson.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
This is Tim Haslett level bad quarterback situation. And if you understand that reference,
who was the second guy that Spurrier put out there?
Well, there was Danny Werfel and
Danny Werfel, yeah.
No, there was another guy with him too, right?
Yeah,
Shane Johnson.
Yeah, no,
those
Shane
were
Matthews.
Shane Matthews.
Shane Matthews.
This is Shane Matthews level bad, is what it is.
Well, so no, but I mentioned Tim Hasselbeck because when they both got hurt, they went to Tim Hasselbeck after that.
Did they? I didn't remember that. I remember he was on the Redskins. I don't remember what year it was.
I'm pretty sure it was also the Spurrier years. That was bad. That was a really bad time.
Look, nobody's going to like this, okay?
Nope.
But my point is, for especially a Thursday game, Josh Johnson is the only answer. Not a good answer, but it's the only answer.
It's not a good answer. Run the veer. Just don't throw the ball.
Run the veer.
Our buddy Robbie, he was telling us how he had to run the veer in college one year.
He was talking about his high school team.
In high school. Yeah, not college. He's coaching high school. But let's run the veer and just see what happens. You
Why
know,
not?
Run the triple option. Some couple college teams do that.
triple option and Levier are very similar, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're brother and sister. So
So Dallas.
yeah, let's talk about this Dallas game on Christmas Day. Boo Christmas games, just for
We
me
hate Christmas
personally.
games. We all
I,
we hate in the Hawks side. We hate Christmas games because we have to cover them on Christmas Day, and it goes double, even more so for the reporters that have to be there and
Right.
the crew, the camera guys, and all of
Right.
that. That's why the NFL shouldn't do this, in my view.
I
We
agree.
hate it because we have to pay attention and write about it, and all
Right.
of that. So
Yeah.
here's my thoughts. Now, I'm going on the assumption that if Washington wants to win, which I think they
Right.
should want to win,
Right.
draft be damned. They want to. So here's what I think.
None of us are pro tanking. I'm just
No.
pro develop players who will not
I-
be retired in
Right.
2026.
Yeah, we can disagree about that. But okay. So first, I think Washington needs to run on the run game. And I say this knowing that Dallas has one of the worst, if not the statistically worst, passing defense in the NFL. But Washington cannot pass. We just spent 15
Yeah.
minutes railing on it. Washington cannot pass. They have a decent running game that's in the upper third of it. But more importantly, Dallas can be explosive at times. They want to keep Dallas off the field, and their
Right.
run defense is not that great either. So I think
Right.
number one, continue the plan from the Eagles and stack the run game. Number one. Number two, I put control of the secondary. What I mean by that is Dallas has got Pickens and CeeDee Lamb out there and a pretty
Mhm.
darn good tight end, Jake Ferguson. Continue what you're doing with this zone defense, but they have got to figure out a way to not let Pickens and Lamb, especially, just run down the field, with Bobby Wagner chasing after him. That's not going to go well. And the other thing is, Javonte Williams is an outstanding running back. He's averaging, he's got a total average right now of 4.8 yards per carry. What I noticed, though, is very interesting. He's averaged less than 4.5 yards per carry in 9 games so far this year. He's only had 4, which, including the Washington game, when he's had over 5.5 yards per carry. That is boosting his average. Those 4 games. There's been times when he hasn't been good at all.
Right.
And so Washington needs to not let him really get rolling. So I think if they control the clock, keep Pickens and Lamb from running down the field, and keep Javonte Williams under about 4.5 yards per carry, they have a shot at this. That's my thought. So, and I'll shut up.
I mean, yeah, I agree. They need to rely on the run game. Snap every ball at 1 second. Drain as much clock as possible every play. Let's make this thing fast as possible. Get it over with.
Yes.
They did that last week.
Yeah.
It's a conscious thing teams definitely do when they're out of it at this point, is just make the game short as possible.
And
Get
it was
it
a
over
very
with.
short game last week.
It was.
Yeah, no
Dave?
doubt. They need to lean heavy on the run. They need to protect the backside of that defense so nothing gets beyond them past 20 yards. But
Right.
I think as of the run game and offensively, I think they need to not only just continue with the run game, but just be aggressive all game. Don't worry about being conservative. Don't worry about 4th and 2, 4th and 3. Maybe we should punt. You know what? Just stay aggressive. Keep pounding the ball. Use a little misdirection and try to break through on one of these 4th down plays. I mean, it's the season's over, and if you can try to keep drives going and move the ball, no conservative plays.
It's such a good point. I'm so glad you mentioned that. It's be aggressive. There is no reason in the world not to be aggressive in this game. And this is the criticism we had at the Eagles game. We just talked about it a little while ago. Don't
Right.
stop. No short punts. Just go for
Right.
it. There's no reason not. Finish the season strong. It builds some momentum going into the off season, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I don't think Dan Quinn's lost the front office or the roster, the team.
Mhm.
Like we talk about it a lot. like that's the death keel for a coach is if you lose your locker room. I
We
don't
kind
think
of
he's
wondered it for a time.
yeah,
I wondered it for a little bit here and there, to be honest.
but I think giving up and being very defeatist, that's the easiest way to actually have that happen. Like you can't quit. No,
I
you
think
have
this season has been one of the most disappointing I can remember. And not just because of what the team did last year, but I don't remember a year when they've gotten consistently blown out by everybody.
Mhm.
right.
You know,
Well,
like every week this team's getting blown out, just like they're terrible. And even in the heart of the Snyder era,
mhm.
sometimes they played hard, and it wasn't every single week they're getting blown out by everybody. Because
I
29-18, I'd like to point out in the Eagles
mhm.
that the last the last 7 points, 8 points was a garbage time touchdown at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, sorry, but go ahead.
No,
Well, you know what I say for disappointing as this season has been, I think it was a necessary season too because I think with it was a humbling season not just for the players but also for Adam Peters. I think he over evaluated where this team was last year because of that 12-5 record. He tried to kind of load up and try to get this team to try to make one quick run. I mean, I get it and I'm okay with that. But I think he realized just how bad the back end of this roster really is. And these injuries has to have at least opened his eyes to that, to where he's got to not only just try to get top end talent on this roster, but he's got to fix the back end of this roster because when you start losing players the way you do and you can't get guys to step in, I mean, look at San Francisco. Such a well-run, I mean, he came from San Francisco, such a well-run organization. They lost their quarterback. They lost half their offensive line for most of the year. They lost two of their stalwart defensive players, but they had guys to fill in. They had guys to be able to keep the season going. Now they're starting to get healthy again. With them having 10 wins right now, they look like they're the team that no one wants to play going into the playoffs. Why? Because the back end of their roster is deep. They've got good talent. They got guys that can come in and do what they need to do. They don't have a bunch of Madranos on this roster, to be able to come in and go forward with. And I think that this was almost a necessary season in a way, hopefully, to where now Adam Peters can kind of humble himself a little bit in terms of evaluation of what he needs to do going forward, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the oldest team in the NFL by a
Yes.
lot,
Right.
and they have a bunch of old slow
One of
guys.
the oldest teams in the NFL in history too.
Is that
Like,
true? Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
yeah. Like I think in the last 12 years there
Um,
hasn't been an older roster or something like that.
I mean, they need speed and they need agility, and that comes with young guys. And the
Yes.
mistake, I think, it seemed to me like what you said, which is, they got kind of a lucky run last year, took that a
Right.
little bit too seriously, loaded it up, tried to get one small run. What they did instead is tank the roster,
Pretty much. Yes.
And they really need to rebuild it and get some speed, get some youth, and get some agility out there, especially on defense.
My bigger concern is like by not doing it last year, like did you actually set yourself back more by not trying to find some young building blocks for the long term?
Yeah, of course they did. Of course they
Yeah.
did. Absolutely. And the other thing is, if Jane Daniels doesn't come back, all of this is for naught.
Oh, sure.
Come back. What I mean is come back to his normal, to his 2024 self. If he's, because we saw this with RG3, also, and others, many, the road to the NFL Hall of Fame is littered with people, who do well
Yep.
for a year and can't come back to it. And so if Daniels doesn't get it back, then none of this matters.
Of course.
That's the truth.
Of course. That's the scariest part of it is that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
if the one thing when you look at his career and his track record, unlike RG3, I mean, he is responded like when he was in Arizona State. He responded to a real bad down year after a big freshman year. He responded by putting up some really good numbers before the incident with, I believe, his grandmother had passed away, and then things kind of started going off the rails again. The one thing that he has done throughout his career, he's responded to adversity very, very well. So hopefully that continues going into next year.
Well, he's not a self-centered, narcissist like RG3 was either.
Yeah.
And the coach just believes in him, and Shanahan never really. I don't want to relive all that. I think the situation is
Yep.
very different.
Yes.
But we've drifted off from the Dallas game. Should we do
All right.
predictions? I didn't mean
Yeah.
to get us into this.
No, let's do predictions. And we knew this is that kind of show. This is
Yes.
a drifty show. All right, I'll go first.
Okay.
I have a rule, guys. You know my rule. I can never predict Dallas to.
I know.
It is a rule that I will always, always, always stick to. That is
You
my
live and die
promise
by it.
to the people of our listenership.
I don't think
I
ever
s-
in 10 years have you ever picked Dallas to win a game.
I don't think I have. I would
I'm
have to go
far
back and listen
closer
to
to
the tapes.
reality than you.
I'd have to go back to listen to the tapes, but it would be like picking America to lose in the Olympics. I can't do it. I can't root against. I can't root against us. In that being all said, I'm going to predict a 10-6 win. It's low scoring, super low scoring. Somehow they pull that off.
Oh man.
Nice.
I have no problem.
Just like how the Emperor somehow returns in the third Star Wars movie.
from death.
Just somehow.
Unlike Dallas, Alex, I have no problem picking Dallas to win in these. I've picked Dallas to win most of these games, and I've been far more right than Alex has in that regard. Until Washington proves to me they can put together a full game against a non-horrible team, I can't do it. So I think Dallas runs the score up a little bit. I said 34-17.
You're kind of like right where I was going to be,
Oh,
but
really?
I'll alter it a
Well,
little bit. I'll say 38. I'll say 38-14.
there you go. Just to be different, but Dave and I are basically on the same page, more or
Yes.
less.
Yep.
Right. And I can't
Sorry,
stand.
kids.
I can't stand picking Dallas myself, but unfortunately, I got to be real about it too.
We do real on this show. We do not do fan service.
It's not fan
and you know
service.
what?
It's
And you know what? If Washington ends up winning this game, Alex, I'll shave my head.
I will not make that. I will not counter that. This glorious hair is not going anywhere, especially not in the wintertime. I don't know what you guys do in the wintertime, man. It's brutal.
I live in
Well, they call
South
it-
Texas, man.
Well, they have these things called knit hats, so I'm okay.
Listen, it was 80 degrees here on Sunday.
It was 65 degrees here last week. I don't know.
And ironically, ironically Sunday, the house 2 doors down from me had a snow machine, so the yard was full of snow, and it was literally 80 degrees.
Go home, Texas. You're drunk.
I just watched it happen and walked the dog through the snow.
That's what I understand that, but that's like the most drunk Texan thing I've ever heard.
I think the worst part about having a bald head and not having a hat, when I have my hoodie on and the wind catches it just right, it goes right to the back of the hoodie, comes right up the back of the head and right over, dude. It sends a chill right down.
That does not sound pleasant.
No, it doesn't. It's not.
I mean, you know me. I'm a hat guy. I wear a lot of hats. So
we didn't know that about you, but okay.
What? That's my whole thing.
I don't think I've ever seen you wear a hat on the show, though.
Oh, I don't wear baseball hats. I have self-respect. I only wear fedoras.
We learned something about Alex today.
Yeah. But no one's ever looked better in a baseball hat than without a baseball hat. That's a fun fact about baseball hats for you.
And with that.
Yeah. And with that, let's wrap up the show. Guys, again, to both of you, have a happy Christmas. And
yes. Everybody out there, Merry Christmas.
And also, also to all of our listeners, no more Happy Hanukkah because that's over. So
yes.
Yeah. But if you did celebrate Hanukkah, I hope you got some nice socks.
I'm going to refrain from using my Jewish slur that was meant only in jest and not seriously I said last week.
Okay, good.
I will not say Happy Jew Day again this week.
Thanks for not saying it. All right. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody. Talk to you next week.
Later.
Later.
I couldn't resist.